The ancient signal. The Galactic Council had always viewed Earth as the galaxy's newest civilization, primitive, barely spacefaring, and hardly worth notice. That was their first mistake. Admiral Zena Val of the Centaurian Empire stood at the helm of her flagship, watching Earth's blue sphere through the quantum viewport. Her mandibles clicked in mild amusement as she reviewed the preliminary invasion plans. The humans had only established their first Mars colony 50 years ago, and their technology was centuries behind the galactic standard. This would be an easy conquest. Another primitive world for the Empire, she muttered, her crystalline eyes reflecting the pale light of Earth's moon. But as her fleet moved into position, something unexpected happened. On Mars, in a region the humans called Acidalia Planitia, an ancient structure began to stir. It had waited there, buried under red sand for millions of years, its power systems dormant, but never truly dead. The human colony nearby had never detected it. They weren't meant to, not until the right moment. That moment came when Zena's fleet crossed the asteroid belt's threshold. The structure's quantum sensors, technology far beyond anything currently known to the galaxy, detected the invasion force. Deep within its core, protocols written by long-forgotten hands activated. A signal burst forth from Mars's surface, but it wasn't aimed at the incoming fleet. Instead, it reached across space to Earth, targeting specific locations across the planet. As the signal made contact, similar structures hidden beneath Earth's oceans, mountains, and ice caps began to awaken. In research facilities worldwide, scientists stared at their instruments in confusion. Something was causing unprecedented readings across the electromagnetic spectrum. But Dr. Sarah Chen, working at the Atacama Array in Chile, was the first to understand what she was seeing. "This isn't interference," she whispered, her fingers flying across holographic displays. "It's a key." The signal wasn't just energy. It was information. Genetic codes that resonated with human DNA itself. As it swept across Earth, people everywhere began experiencing strange memories. Stars seen from unfamiliar worlds, knowledge of technologies that shouldn't exist, and a deep, unshakable certainty that humanity was far more than anyone had imagined. Aboard her flagship, Admiral Zena received urgent reports from her science division. "Admiral, we're detecting energy signatures unlike anything in our database. They're coming from both Mars and Earth." Before she could respond, every human-made device in the solar system activated simultaneously. Satellites, space stations, and the Mars colony all began operating on new frequencies, accessing capabilities that had been hidden within their seemingly primitive designs. The truth was emerging. Humans hadn't built their technology from scratch. They had been unconsciously following templates encoded in their very beings, creating devices that could transform into something far more advanced when the signal came. Dr. Chen, her eyes now glowing with a faint golden light, a sign of humanity's awakening genetic heritage, accessed knowledge that had been dormant in her DNA for millions of years. "We were never primitive," she said to her astonished colleagues. "We were sleeping pioneers." In orbit, Admiral Zena watched in disbelief as Earth's modest orbital defenses transformed. Simple satellites became quantum-linked defense platforms. The International Space Station's solar panels reconfigured into shields that could withstand any known weapon. But most shocking of all was the change in the humans themselves. The genetic memories now flooding back revealed an incredible truth. Earth wasn't humanity's birthplace. It was their sanctuary. Long ago, when the galaxy was young, humans had been its first spacefaring race. They had seeded the stars with life, established the foundations of what would become faster-than-light travel, and helped other species take their first steps into space. But they had also seen something coming, a danger so great that they chose to hide themselves away, storing their legacy in the only place it would be truly safe, within their own DNA, to be awakened only when it was truly needed. As Admiral Zena prepared to give the order to retreat, she received a transmission. The hologram that appeared showed Dr. Chen, But she spoke with the weight of awakened millennia. "We remember now," she said, her voice carrying echoes of ancient knowledge. "Earth isn't our beginning. It's where we waited, where we kept ourselves safe until the galaxy needed its teachers again. We welcome peaceful contact with the Centaurian Empire, but make no mistake, we are not your prey. We are humanity, and we have finally remembered what that truly means." The signal continued to spread, awakening more of humanity's dormant heritage. What the galaxy had dismissed as a young, primitive species was revealing itself to be something far more significant. The architects of galactic civilization itself returned at last from their long slumber. The awakening. The news of Earth's awakening spread through the galaxy like a shockwave. The Centaurian Empire's failed invasion attempt had triggered something none of the galactic powers had anticipated. In the days that followed, humanity's transformation accelerated at an extraordinary pace. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. James Morrison piloted his research submersible toward what had once been dismissed as a natural formation. Now, with humanity's awakened knowledge, he recognized it for what it was, a dormant construction facility that had waited eons for this moment. As his vessel approached, massive structures began to rise from the ocean floor, water cascading from ancient metals that still gleamed as if they were forged yesterday. The facility was bigger than Manhattan, a testament to humanity's forgotten capabilities. In orbit, Admiral Zena's retreat had been halted, not by force, but by curiosity. Her fleet hung at the edge of the solar system, watching as humanity's true nature revealed itself. The quantum sensors on her flagship detected energy signatures that defied explanation, power readings that surpassed anything in known space. "Admiral," her science officer reported, "we're detecting similar activations across their entire solar system. The humans, they're not evolving or advancing. They're remembering." On Mars, the human colony underwent its own transformation. The humble habitation domes shifted and expanded, revealing themselves as seeds of something far greater. Within hours, a gleaming metropolis stood on the red planet's surface, its architecture unlike anything seen in the modern galaxy. But the most profound changes were happening within humanity itself. The genetic memories continued to surface, bringing with them not just knowledge but understanding. Humans began to remember why they had chosen to hide themselves away, to become dormant until the time was right. In Geneva, the newly formed Awakening Council convened its first session. Representatives from Earth's nations gathered, their eyes now bearing the golden glow of activated genetic memory. Dr. Chen, who had become a key figure in humanity's transformation, addressed the assembly. "What we're remembering isn't just our history," she explained, her words carrying the weight of ancient wisdom. "It's our purpose. We were the first, yes, but more than that. We were the guardians, the teachers, the ones who helped life flourish across the galaxy." The assembly hall's screens displayed images from humanity's true past, vast ships that had seeded worlds with life, space stations that had served as cradles for emerging civilizations, and technologies that had shaped the very fabric of space-time. "But we saw something coming," Dr. Chen continued, "accessing memories millions of years old, a threat to all life in the galaxy. We knew we couldn't fight it directly, not then. So we made a choice. We would hide ourselves away, encode our knowledge and power within our very beings, and wait." In orbit, humanity's modest space fleet underwent dramatic changes. Ships transformed, revealing weapons and defensive systems that had been hidden within their seemingly primitive designs. The International Space Station, once a symbol of humanity's first steps into space, now served as the core of a vast defense network that extended throughout the solar system. Admiral Zena, still observing from the edge of the system, received a transmission from her homeworld. The Centaurian High Command had reviewed the data from Earth and reached a stunning conclusion. The very FTL drives that powered their ships, the quantum communications they relied upon, all of it could be traced back to ancient ruins found throughout the galaxy. Ruins that, they now realized, had been left behind by humanity. But not everyone welcomed humanity's awakening. Across the galaxy, other civilizations watched with growing concern as the supposed primitives revealed themselves to be the precursors of all known spacefaring races. Some began to mobilize their fleets, fear driving them toward conflict. In response, more of humanity's hidden legacy activated. Beneath the surface of Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, something stirred. A facility larger than any yet discovered began to power up, its purpose still unclear, but its power undeniable. Dr. Morrison, now overseeing the activation of the Pacific facility, received data from monitoring stations worldwide. "It's happening faster than we expected," he reported to the Awakening Council. "The genetic memories, the technology, it's not just random activation. There's a pattern to it all." He was right. Each awakened facility, each recovered memory, each transformed piece of technology was part of a larger design. Humanity hadn't just hidden themselves away. They had orchestrated their own rebirth, timed perfectly for when they would be needed most. As the second week of humanity's awakening drew to a close, a new signal was detected, originating from somewhere deep within the galaxy. To the rest of the galaxy, it was indecipherable. But to humanity's awakened senses, its meaning was clear. The threat they had hidden from was returning, and the time had come for humanity to take up its ancient mantle once again. The hidden archive. Deep within the Mariana Trench, at depths no conventional sensors could penetrate, Dr. Elena Santos stood in a chamber that shouldn't exist. The immense pressure of the ocean above was held at bay by fields of pure energy, while around her, halls of luminescent metal stretched for kilometers in every direction. This was the archive, humanity's greatest repository of knowledge, hidden beneath Earth's deepest waters. "It's all here," she whispered, her awakened senses interfacing directly with the ancient systems. "Everything we were, everything we knew." The archive had revealed itself just days after the facility in the Pacific, its systems reaching out to the newly awakened humans above. But unlike the other installations they'd discovered, this one held more than just technology or defense systems. It contained the full, unabridged history of humanity's first age of space travel. In orbit, Admiral Zenith's fleet had been joined by representatives from 12 other galactic civilizations. They came not as conquerors now, but as witnesses to an unprecedented revelation. The humans were transmitting select portions of their recovered history to the gathered ships, and what they revealed shook the foundations of every space-faring race's understanding of their own origins. The holographic displays in the archive chamber activated, showing Elena's scenes from humanity's deep past. She saw vast fleets of starships, unlike anything currently known to the galaxy, seeding young worlds with carefully engineered life. She watched as her ancestors established the basic principles of faster-than-light travel, quantum communications, and artificial gravity, technologies that all modern galactic civilizations had discovered in ancient ruins, believing them to be the work of some long-lost precursor race. "We didn't just explore the galaxy," Elena realized, accessing more of the archived knowledge. "We shaped it, prepared it." The archive revealed how humanity had discovered a fundamental truth about the galaxy. Life was precious and rare. In their early explorations, they had found a universe largely devoid of complex life. Rather than claim it all for themselves, they had made a different choice. They became gardeners, cultivators, teachers. But the archive held darker knowledge as well. Dr. Chen, who had joined Elena in the underwater facility, accessed records that explained why humanity had chosen to hide itself away. The threat they had detected wasn't just to Earth or human civilization. It was something that endangered the very concept of life itself. "They came from between the galaxies," Chen read, her voice trembling. "We called them the Void Dancers. They didn't want to destroy life. They simply didn't recognize it as existing at all. To them, the energy and matter we were made of was just resources to be consumed." The record showed humanity's desperate race against time. They couldn't fight the Void Dancers directly. The entities were too alien, too vast in their scope. Instead, Humanity had implemented what they called the Great Preservation. They would seed the galaxy with life, establish the foundations of technological advancement, and then hide themselves away. The various species they had helped create would develop along different paths, each evolving unique perspectives and capabilities. We didn't just go into hiding, Elena realized. We were making sure that when the Void Dancers returned, the galaxy would have more than one way to fight them. Every civilization we helped create would approach the problem differently. In the archive's central chamber, a new set of records activated, showing the final days before humanity's great sleep. Their mighty fleets had been hidden away in dimensional pockets throughout the galaxy. Their greatest minds had engineered the genetic lock that would keep their true nature dormant until it was needed. They had scattered clues and fragments of their technology across countless worlds, ensuring that the civilizations that would follow would advance along similar technological paths. Admiral Zena, who had been permitted to visit the archive along with a select group of alien representatives, watched the historical records with a mixture of awe and understanding. All this time, she said, her crystalline eyes reflecting the holographic displays, we thought we had built our civilizations from nothing. But you were there, guiding us, making sure we would be ready. The archive held more than just historical records. As Elena and her team delved deeper into its databases, they discovered detailed analyses of every civilization humanity had helped seed, predictions for their development, and suggestions for how each race's unique characteristics could contribute to the coming conflict. But most importantly, the archive contained the locations of humanity's hidden fleets and facilities throughout the galaxy. As this information was recovered, signals began broadcasting to these ancient installations. Across thousands of light years, humanity's forgotten legacy began to stir. Dr. Morrison's voice came through on the archive's communication system. The Pacific facility had finished its initial activation sequence, and its true purpose had become clear. It's not just a construction facility, he reported excitedly. It's a nexus point. All these facilities were finding their nodes in a galaxy-spanning network. The network was already responding to the threat they faced. Long-dormant sensors between the galaxies had detected movement. The Void Dancers were indeed returning, their vast forms sliding through the intergalactic void like shadows through space. But this time, humanity wouldn't face them alone. As the archive's knowledge spread, as ancient facilities awakened across Earth and throughout the solar system, a new era of galactic cooperation began to take shape. The various civilizations that had once seen Earth as a primitive backwater now recognized it for what it truly was. The homeworld of the galaxy's first guardians returned just when they were needed most. The return. The galactic community watched in awe as humanity's ancient fleets emerged from their dimensional sanctuaries. Ships that dwarfed modern space stations appeared in carefully chosen systems across the galaxy, their hulls gleaming with technologies long forgotten. But it wasn't just the scale of humanity's hidden forces that amazed the watching civilizations. It was their purpose. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, one of the first ancient vessels to be reactivated. The ship had waited in a fold of space-time near Alpha Centauri for millions of years, its systems maintained by technologies that transcended current understanding. As she interfaced with the ship's consciousness, for these vessels were more than mere machines, she felt the weight of history and purpose flood through her awakened memories. We're receiving signals from across the galaxy, her first officer reported. Every cache we left behind, every hidden facility, they're all coming online. The ship's quantum displays showed the true scope of humanity's preparation. They hadn't just hidden away their technology. They had created an interwoven network of defenses and resources that spanned the entire galaxy. Each civilization they had seeded had unknowingly built their worlds atop or near these hidden caches, ensuring they would be protected when the time came. In the Centaurian Empire's capital, Admiral Zena addressed her people. For generations, we believed we had achieved spaceflight on our own. We thought we had discovered the principles of quantum physics independently. But now we understand. Humanity didn't just help create us. They gave us the tools we would need and trusted us to develop them in our own unique way. The truth of humanity's strategy was becoming clear. Each species they had seeded had evolved to think differently, to approach problems from unique perspectives. The Centaurians had developed unprecedented innovations in quantum mechanics. The Arcturians had mastered energy manipulation in ways humanity hadn't foreseen. The Vega Collective had pushed the boundaries of biological engineering beyond what even ancient humans had achieved. Dr. Chen, now coordinating from the Mariana Archive, watched as data poured in from across the galaxy. Every species developed exactly as we'd hoped, she explained to the gathered representatives. Not because we control their evolution, but because we gave them the freedom to grow in their own ways. We knew that defeating the Void Dancers would require perspectives we couldn't imagine. The ancient human fleets began moving into defensive positions, but they didn't operate alone. Modern ships from every major civilization joined them, each bringing their own technological innovations and tactical approaches. What had begun as humanity's hidden preparation had evolved into something greater, a true galactic alliance. Captain Rodriguez's ship, now joined by vessels from 12 different species, took up position at one of the primary contact points where the Void Dancers were expected to enter the galaxy. The Prometheus's sensors, operating on principles that blended ancient human technology with modern innovations, detected the first signs of the invaders. They're exactly as the records described. Rodriguez transmitted to the combined fleet, non-baryonic entities that exist partially outside our normal spacetime. They don't even perceive our universe the same way we do. But humanity had spent millions of years preparing for this moment. The ancient ships began activating defense systems that operated on multiple layers of reality simultaneously. The Centaurian vessels added their quantum field generators, creating overlapping layers of protection that would force the Void Dancers to fully manifest in normal space. Dr. Morrison, monitoring from the Pacific facility, detected energy signatures building up throughout the galactic network. Every installation we created, every piece of technology we left behind, they're all linked. The entire galaxy is becoming one vast defense system. The Void Dancers emerged from the intergalactic void exactly as predicted, their vast forms distorting space itself. But they found something very different from the scattered, vulnerable galaxy they had expected. Instead of isolated pockets of life to consume, they encountered a unified defense prepared over millions of years. Humanity's ancient ships moved in perfect coordination with their modern allies. Where the human vessels created anchor points in reality, Arcturian energy manipulators forced the Void Dancers to remain manifest. Centaurian quantum weapons, enhanced by recovered human technology, struck at the entity's fundamental structure. Vega Collective bioships released engineered particles that disrupted the Void Dancers' ability to shift between states of reality. Captain Rodriguez watched as the combined fleet executed battle plans millions of years in the making. This is why we waited, she realized. Not just to prepare ourselves, but to ensure we wouldn't face this threat alone. Every civilization we helped create, every species we guided, they all brought something unique to this fight. The Void Dancers, encountering resistance they had never before experienced, began to retreat. They had expected to find easy prey, but instead discovered a galaxy transformed into an intricately prepared battlefield where every species contributed its own strengths to the defense. As the first wave of Void Dancers withdrew, the Galactic Alliance stood firm. Humanity had returned to their role as guardians, but now they were no longer alone. The civilizations they had once guided had become equal partners in the defense of life itself. The new dawn, 1 year after humanity's awakening, the galaxy had transformed. The Void Dancers' initial assault had been repelled, but more importantly, their defeat had ushered in an unprecedented era of cooperation and advancement. The various civilizations that had once viewed each other with suspicion now worked together, combining their unique perspectives and technologies in ways that would have been impossible before. In Earth orbit, a new structure took shape, the Convergence, a massive station that served as both a symbolic and practical center for this new galactic society. Built using a combination of ancient human knowledge and modern innovations from a dozen different species, it represented everything humanity had hoped to achieve when they first seeded the galaxy with life. Dr. Elena Santos stood in the Convergence's central chamber, watching representatives from across the galaxy work together. The station's quantum displays showed real-time data from the Galactic Defense Network, a seamless blend of humanity's ancient preparations and the technological innovations of their children species. "We never intended to rule," she explained to Admiral Zena, who had become one of humanity's strongest allies. "We wanted to create something greater than ourselves, a galaxy where different forms of life could flourish and grow together." The Mariana Archive had revealed that this had been humanity's true goal all along. The Void Dancers had been a genuine threat, but they had also presented an opportunity. By going into hibernation and allowing other civilizations to develop independently, humanity had ensured that the galaxy would be defended not by one species' perspective, but by many. Captain Rodriguez, now fleet commander of the Combined Defensive Forces, coordinated with ships from 20 different species. The Void Dancers had been driven back, but scattered encounters still occurred at the galaxy's edges. Each engagement proved the wisdom of humanity's ancient plan, as different civilizations contributed unique solutions to the challenge of fighting entities that existed partially outside normal spacetime. The Centaurians developed quantum field generators we never imagined, Rodriguez noted during a strategic briefing. The Arcturians found ways to manipulate energy that surpassed our ancient understanding. Every species brought something new to the table. In the Pacific facility, now a primary research center for combining ancient and modern technologies, Dr. Morrison led teams composed of scientists from across the galaxy. They weren't just studying humanity's recovered technology, they were improving upon it, combining it with innovations developed during humanity's long sleep. This was the true purpose of the Great Preservation, Dr. Chen realized as she reviewed data from these collaborative efforts. Not just to hide and prepare, but to ensure that when we returned, we would be part of something greater than we could have built alone. The Void Dancers had underestimated not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. They had expected to find isolated pockets of life, easy to consume and destroy. Instead, they encountered a unified defense that operated on multiple levels of reality simultaneously, combining technologies and perspectives they couldn't comprehend. But the greatest change was cultural. The various civilizations that had once competed for resources and influence now understood their shared heritage and purpose. Humanity's role evolved from returned precursors to partners in a greater whole. They shared their ancient knowledge freely, but also eagerly learned from the species they had helped create. The Convergence became a symbol of this new unity. In its halls, Centaurian quantum physicists worked alongside human engineers and Vega collective biotechnologists. Ancient human ships patrolled the galaxy's edges together with vessels of modern design, each complementing the other's capabilities. "We've created something unprecedented," Admiral Zena observed during a council meeting. "Not just a defense against the Void Dancers, but a true galactic civilization, where every species contributes its unique strengths." The galaxy's response to the Void Dancers had proven that diversity was strength. Each civilization's unique approach to science, technology, and problem-solving created layers of defense and innovation that no single species could have achieved alone. Humanity's ancient plan had succeeded beyond their greatest hopes. As the first year of this new era drew to a close, Captain Rodriguez stood at the Convergence's observation deck, watching ships from across the galaxy move in harmonious patterns against the star-filled background. The Void Dancers remained a threat, but they now faced a galaxy united in purpose while celebrating its diversity. "We were never meant to be rulers or conquerors," she reflected. "We were gardeners, planting seeds that would grow into something far greater than ourselves. And now, at last, we can see the garden in full bloom." The galaxy had discovered that its strength lay not in the dominance of any one species, but in the combination of all their different perspectives and capabilities. Humanity's return hadn't led to an empire. It had catalyzed the formation of something far more powerful, a true galactic community where every voice contributed to the whole. As new discoveries were made, as technologies merged and evolved, as cultures exchanged ideas and perspectives, the galaxy entered an unprecedented age of growth and discovery. The Void Dancers hadn't just been defeated, they had unknowingly helped create exactly what humanity had hoped for all along. A galaxy where life in all its forms could flourish together, each species contributing its unique gifts to the greater whole.